Hi class, today we're going to learn about the water cycle. The water cycle is a very important process that gives us our weather. In order for us to understand the water cycle, we first need to go back to the basics about states of matter like solids, liquids, and gases, and how changing up the temperature can give us each of these different states of matter. So I want you guys to think about what happens when we heat up a pot of water at the stove, and we will further discuss about that during this lesson. Have you ever thought about how old the water you may be drinking could be? The water you may be drinking could be thousands upon thousands of years old. That's because water is constantly being recycled over and over again through the water cycle. Just like the same wheels on your bike go around in circles, so does the water in the water cycle. So think about that when you think about the water cycle. Now, in order for us to understand the water cycle, there are 4 new vocabulary words for us to learn. They are evaporation, condensation, precipitation, and accumulation or collection. You see this picture on the right. There are different arrows pointing in different directions, but all together create a circular shape. There are different symbols that we use that display the water cycle, and they're all important. Think about that pot on a hot stove. What do you think is happening? If you guessed water boiling, creating steam, you are correct. That steam is called water vapor, and it rises up into the air. But what makes the water rise up into the air? That is a job for the sun. The sun heats up water on Earth, causing it to become a gas and floating into the atmosphere. The sun has a very important job in the water cycle. In this picture, we can see the hot sun heating up liquid water, creating water vapor, which is a gas. We have a change in matter going from liquid to gas. Now you guys are starting to see the importance of knowing the states of matter and how we can apply it to different things that we see in nature. Condensation is when water vapor goes from a gaseous state to a liquid state. Condensation creates clouds. The water vapor moves into the atmosphere, which is cooler, and water droplets bunch up together and become clouds. Precipitation is what happens when the water droplets in the clouds become heavy enough to fall to the land. Precipitation can be in the form of rain, snow, sleet, or hail. That all depends on the temperature on Earth. If you want snow, you'll need at least 32 degrees Fahrenheit or lower as your temperature for it to snow. Accumulation is the collection of water in oceans, lakes, rivers, or land. Water cycle begins all over again. Water in different places like plants, lakes, glaciers, anywhere there's water can all become part of our rain tomorrow. You see how water is recycled over and over again through the water cycle. So let's review what we just learned. Let's look at our water cycle chart right here. We have water and then we have an arrow pointing up. That's because the sun is heating up the water in the lake, so that water that's liquid is becoming a gas, which is water vapor. From there, we move on to condensation. As that water vapor is rising up into the atmosphere, the air in the atmosphere is much cooler. So that's how we have clouds being formed, because all the water vapor, the gas, is becoming a liquid again, and that creates clouds. From clouds, we finally have precipitation, which is when those clouds become heavy enough with all these water droplets that all the water droplets fall into the ground in the form of snow, hail, sleet, or rain. And remember, that all depends on the temperature on the Earth. Now, you'll also see a funky word right here named transpiration, and you might ask, what is transpiration? Remember when I said back to water can come from plants? Transpiration is water coming from plants. That also could create our rain. Transpiration, you can think about it as plant sweat, but that also creates all the precipitation that we can get. All these different types of water that we find on Earth could also become part of rain, any precipitation that we experience.